Hello, let's talk about peace. This is a word that is heavy on a lot of business owners' minds, especially ambitious women who are running businesses, running households, and running themselves into the ground. And so I want to talk about creating peace and the importance of creating peace and why it's so necessary to actually have more peace in your life for your business. So a lot of women are uncomfortable with the idea of peace. It's very dangerous because we use sometimes our overachieverness, our high achieving, our ambition as fuel. It is what drives us. It's who we are as people. And I say we because me as well. You want to create something different in this world. You started your business from a place of filling a need that was there. You started because you wanted to create some ripple of impact, because you wanted to fill that gap, fulfill that need, help people in a different way. And you knew that you possess the skills to be able to do that. And what's beautiful about that is that the women that I work with, especially, our hearts are so much in our work. And the ambition and the passion that we have for our work is felt through our work and with our clients and with our products and with our services and everything that we are providing. And with that, it is very easy to create a codependent relationship with your business. It is very easy to fall into burnout and chronic stress and overwhelm that really takes away from your quality of life. And what it's important to remember is that you set the standard for what you will and won't accept for your life and for your business. And it's very easy to forget that as business owners, because when you start a business, you start and you have to hustle. You have to put in a lot of groundwork. You have to start from the bottom. And what happens is you carry that with you into success that you've already built. So as an established business owner, what you have to understand is that as you rise, your standards have to rise with you. And if you want to create more peace, you have to prioritize peace. So we know as women, if we're really honest with ourselves, what we choose to participate in, how we choose to spend our time and our energy is our choice. At the end of the day, everything that's going on your calendar is your choice. You are the one putting that on there. And so accepting responsibility for that, and also realizing that there is so much power in knowing that you are the one in control. Because oftentimes when we feel a loss of control is where fear starts to come in. It feels like that loss of control, that uncertainty starts to set in. And that's a really uncomfortable place, especially for women business owners, because there is so much uncertainty with the economy, with what we can't control, what is happening outside of us. But what we can control is our boundaries, our standards, what we will and won't accept for our lives and our businesses. So if you want to create more success, you also have to prioritize your peace. And it's really important just to think about the reality of what success means to you and what it looks like for you. For a lot of people, it's very easy as ambitious women to chase the next thing, to have the big dreams and have the big goals and to check the boxes and then move on to the next thing. And it is never my goal to stunt that growth. If anything, it is my goal to add even further fuel to the fire. The question is, what are we utilizing and what do you have to contribute to the fuel? Meaning that if you want to continue to grow if you want to continue to provide a service or a product or an impact that is of the highest tier, of the highest quality, everything is originating from you. Even if no matter how big your team is, you are the orchestrator of what is happening. And so with that, if you do not prioritize your peace, you are not able to get the actual fuel for your fire that you need. So when we think about our ambition, when we think about our goals, when we think about our drive, we think in terms of steps and strategy and actions of what needs to be done in order for me to get from A to B. And this is only 50% of the equation. The other 50% of this equation is, who do I need to be? And what do I need as the leader of this movement, as the person who is facilitating these steps, as the person who is taking these steps? What do I need to actually show up and be able to take those steps? You can lay out a beautiful plan for growth, but if you are exhausted, if you are wrecked and your nervous system is moving on overdrive, if you are chronically in a place to where you don't feel good, as simple as that sounds, you just don't feel good, you are not at your best, meaning that you don't have the capacity to get the best results, not just in your business, but in all areas of your life. There is a reason why for a lot of people, if you look at any sort of high performer, there is literally half of their work or their schedule or the things they are doing is pouring into themselves in some way. And so even though it's very easy to carry that solopreneur, that beginner entrepreneur, that beginner business owner, that beginner leader mindset of, I need to be on the ground, doing all the things, checking all the boxes, making sure that I'm leading from the front, whatever it is, it's very easy to carry that with you as you rise. And at a certain point, what starts to happen is you feel this stretching, you feel this pull, you feel this reality hits of what I am doing, how I am leading is not going to be sustainable long term. And so if you want to create more peace, what is necessary, once again, is those boundaries, those standards, and getting clear on what it is that you actually want and recognizing that 50-50 formula, right? So think about how you are spending your time and your energy right now. Think about, what does your day-to-day look like? And in those things in your day-to-day, how many of those things are pouring into you? I've even had clients actually break this down into a math equation of, if you were to give everything that you do on a daily or weekly basis, a number of, okay, what does this take from me energy wise? And then what does this give back to me energy wise? And you can see, breaking it down, data in front of your face as far as this is actually taking more than it's giving me. Or if you do the whole equation, you can see at that bottom line of, wow, I'm giving, 110%, but I'm getting back 10%, 20%, 30%, and it's not evening out. And it's so important for people to understand that if you just have a instant gratification, if you just are building with the short term in mind, if you keep telling yourself that once X happens, then I'll relax, then I'll have more peace, once I change this, but you're not actually giving yourself the space to implement that, or you're not actually implementing it at all because you're afraid, then you just keep rewriting that story. You keep that story very much alive. You keep that belief that you're holding very much alive. The belief that your business can't survive without you. The belief that your team needs you to double check everything that they do. The belief that you can't step back without things falling apart. The belief that you will lose clients if you work less hours. Whatever the beliefs are that you're holding, you have to evaluate these things. as an ambitious woman, it is important for you to understand that your next level and where you want to go and what you want to create in this life will require as much time as you are pouring into people and things and projects outside of you. It will have to be equal parts of pouring into you. And so I know that where your head goes is, yeah, but that doesn't compute. The time is not there. The space is not there. I have multiple kids. I have a partner. I have a business, multiple business that's very busy. And that's wonderful. That's so wonderful. But what I also want to tell you is that it is a limiting belief to believe that you can't continue to succeed with a different pace, with a different set of rules, with a different set of guidelines. And it puts you in a seat of powerlessness when you do not realize that you are the one in control of your actions, your calendar, what you are participating in, the tasks that you are doing, the jobs that you're doing, what you're delegating, what you're communicating. All of these things are in your control. And so what I want to invite you into today is thinking about those things, is thinking about what are you doing to pour into your peace? What are you doing that is fulfilling for you, not as a CEO, but as a woman, as a human who has desires and needs? Are you honoring your humanness? Because to be honest with you, ambition is beautiful, and your drive and your desire to achieve great things, it is only people like you and I that create incredible things in this world, because we are so resilient and so committed to our passion and to our purpose. But I want you to be around for a long time to be able to continue to do that, which means that even though there is so much fear that rises in your heart when you think about stepping back, when you think about slowing down, that is those words, just keep listening, because I know that right now you want to nope, that's not for me. I'm only moving forward. But I want you to consider that if your gas tank is empty, it's empty. We hear the cliche saying, and all of you are so brilliant, and that's why you've built the success that you've built already. But it's true that you cannot pour from an empty cup. And if you are pouring from an empty cup, which most of my clients, when they come to me, that's what's happening. They recognize my cup is empty. So this is a problem because I have to keep pouring. I have to keep providing for my family. I have to keep servicing my clients. The business still has to run, but I have nothing left to give. I'm running from a place of exhaustion, from a place of stress, from a place of anxiety, a combination of these things. And so if you're in this position, what you don't want to hear is slowing down. That's not an option. I remember the word surrender, and I did a whole other podcast on surrender and what surrender actually means to me. But even hearing that word was so triggering for me, because I'm like, you don't understand. I can't just surrender. I can't just lay on my couch for 2 months and do nothing. That's not an option. I have little mouths to feed. I have clients to take care of. That's not how this works, right? And so the idea of peace, the idea of space, the idea of prioritizing yourself and your fulfillment, first, what I want you to do is I want you to stop completely blocking that when the idea comes in. Because the first thing that comes to your head, once again, like I just said, is that's not a possibility for me. I can't slow down. I have shit to do. My plate is full. That's not a thing that can be done. And so I first want to just invite you to recognize that thought is there. Recognize that it feels impossible to dedicate any sort of time outside of your to-dos or responsibilities to something that's like space or purely for yourself. Recognize that that's there. I get it. I understand. But also recognize that if you don't take this space, if you don't prioritize your peace, if you don't start to look at what you are accepting that you don't want to accept, if you don't look at your boundaries and your communication and the efficiency in which you're doing things and the processes inside and outside of your home, if you are unwilling to look at these things because you don't have the time and the space, then you continue on that same trajectory, which it all ends in the same place. It all ends in the same place. It ends in burnout. It ends in, and I don't want to be morbid here, but a lot of my clients have had some physical manifestations of not prioritizing themselves. So I'm not here to preach to you about the importance of prioritizing yourself, because honestly, you already know. You are so aware of the importance of prioritizing yourself. The problem is you don't understand how that can fit into your current life with the responsibilities that you hold. And that is why I want to tell you here that yes, it is the most important thing, but I also wanted to connect the dots for you on why it's the most important thing. Because if you continue on the trajectory of putting everybody else and everything else and the business and the tasks and the responsibilities before your own fulfillment, before your needs, truly, not your desires, but your needs as well, you will not be able to get where you want to go. And so I can state this two ways. I can state it the way that sounds a little harsh in tough love, in that essentially you are cutting off your potential by not putting yourself first. Or I can state it in a more loving way, in that if you want to reach the goals that you actually have, if you want to create the change in this world that you desired when you started, what that will require from you is for you to pour into yourself as much as you are pouring into everybody else. And what that looks like is going to be different. Everybody's life and their time is different in the way that it looks and the responsibilities that you hold, but you need to be doing an evaluation of what those things are. So many things we look at as a luxury that are actually a necessity. Things like having a mentor, things like therapy, things like being able to take some time off. It's not a luxury if you make it a necessity for yourself. And so this is your call to a higher set of standards. This is your call to thinking instead about just the short term, instead of thinking about what do you want to create in 2023? Cool, let's hustle through this year. We have this great strategic plan of how we're going to execute on all these things. We're going to double our revenue. Wonderful. Are you considering who you need to be for that? Are you considering your downtime? Are you considering the downtime of your team? And are you considering how you are leading? Because here's the other thing, is that it's easy as women and business owners to think about, okay, here's the plan, here's what we need to do, here's how we're going to get the growth that we desire, but also how are you leading and getting that growth? Are you leading from a place of let's all run ourselves into the ground as a team, and then once we get there, once we hit that mark, then we can take a break, then we can relax? Are there times to push and pull back? Is there definitely some hustle involved in running a business? Absolutely. Here's the issue. For my ambitious, overachieving, high-achieving women who have these big goals, it's not temporary. It is a habit. And the more you repeat it, the more that is ingrained in your brain, and the more you continue to contribute to the belief that you can only succeed with running yourself into the ground, which is the opposite of this higher standard, so that when you have the thought of, I would really like to take a break, I would really like to just be able to sit and turn my phone off. I would really like to be more present with my family. I would really like to not think about work all the time. I would really like to explore and do something for fun. That feels impossible because you have that continued habit and you only have the proof of success being built with sacrifice, success being built by pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. It's a 50% rule. What you give out, you have to pour back in. And whatever that looks like to you needs to be prioritized. Because if it's not prioritized, once again, you will crash and burn. And it's okay. We've all been there. We've all experimented and seen what can happen when we crash and burn, and realizing, okay, this is not sustainable. This is not going to work for me. But here's what a lot of people don't think about. If we were to draw a line on a graph or draw a line on a piece of paper, if you think about, let's say you have 30 steps to reach a goal. This is going to require me to do math on the fly, which should be super fun. So it's 30 steps to go from A to B, right? And so let's say that you do 3 steps and you hustle. Let's say you do 10 steps. You do 10 steps, you hustle so hard that you crash and burn. So those 10 steps take you a year, right? And then you crash and burn, it takes you out. You're like sick, you have no creativity, you have no innovation. Maybe you've lost a relationship in the process, you're not fulfilled, you're unhappy, okay? So great, you got to the goal faster. At what expense? How did you feel in the journey and getting there, right? So that's one part of it. But then you've crashed and you've burned and you're in a state of burnout. And so it takes you out to where you're not actually functioning at your highest capacity for however long. Let's say it's 2 months, 3 months. You're just not functioning well. You're just kind of going through the motions. And that's how a lot of ambitious women business owners are living that way, to where actually they're just going through the motions and hope, kind of like, it's like hope is a strategy, to where I hope that if I just keep showing up and checking this box, that eventually we'll get to that end goal. But it doesn't feel good, and I don't feel good, and I'm not really enjoying my life in the process. Like, why are we settling for that? You shouldn't settle for that. You're building success. So building is a process. Building is not a destination. So why did you start? So going back to our 30 steps, right? So you do 10 steps, you get them done in a year. The year doesn't feel good, but you accomplish the goal, and now you're burnout and you are taken out for a few months. So then it takes you maybe another 2 years through the next 10 steps. You repeat the same behavior and then you're out. So then we're talking about 2.5 years, right? And then let's say you're out for another couple months. Long story short, let's say it basically takes you, because you keep crashing and burning, it takes you 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, to reach this goal. But it didn't feel good while you were doing it, while you were building it. You missed out on 3 to 5 years of your life because you kept telling yourself that you would play with your kids more, or stop working earlier, or, you know, take care of your body, or go on a vacation once you got to this goal. Or your alternate route is this. Your alternate route is, what if you move at a pace that allows you to actively enjoy the life that you're in while you're building to that success? Meaning that your ambition still exists, but also contentment exists, which is another word that's very triggering for a lot of women, because they're like, I'm not content. I want this and this and this, and then I'll be content. You won't be content when you get there if you're not content now. Finding your contentment and your peace now, prioritizing your peace, having peace is invaluable. You could make 8 figures But if you hate your life and you feel like shit, what is the point? What's the point? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because you're pouring into all of these different initiatives and people and communities, and you're pouring from a place of emptiness, which also creates resentment. So we're not even going into the pure emotional side of this with you as the leader, to where you start to pour from a place of have to instead of want to. Keeping your peace as the priority, keeping your peace and keeping that 50-50 rule in place, what that allows for you is that you get to keep moving forward consistently. You get to enjoy your life while you are moving, and you actually are pouring from a place of fullness versus emptiness, which creates a better result, more client retentions, better product, just a better business overall. And then we're back to the same topic of longevity and sustainability. So peace is the priority because it will allow you to be in business longer and do better business. If that's not enough, I don't know what is. And finding your peace, figuring out what needs to change in your business, is going to require that discomfort of setting new boundaries. This is the work that I do with most of my clients. My clients are established businesswomen who have built success one way and now want to build to the next level a different way, because they realize it's not going to work and I don't feel good and I don't want to live this way. I'm ignoring my kids, I'm ignoring my partner, whatever it is. So you create more peace as an ambitious woman by first recognizing that peace is the priority. Peace is the priority. The 50-50 rule is 50% is getting poured out and 50% is getting poured back in. So when you look at how you're spending your time and how you're spending your energy, it comes to an equal match, to where you're not giving more than you're receiving. So you need to figure out what are the things that make you feel like you're receiving, and how are you prioritizing giving those to yourself. This is one of the reasons why my PowHER Retreat is so important for women, is that there's like the beautiful surface level of like, I get a break. I get to go to a vacation in Florida. That's wonderful. Also, there is the reality of the heaviness that we carry as ambitious women with so much. Like, we shoulder it. Like, my traps get tight. It's like, that's everything is shouldered on us. Everything that we have to manage inside our house and inside our businesses, it's a lot. And so peeling that back and being able to have a space to where you get to take all of that off and actually reconnect with who you are as a woman and reconnect with women who understand you. This retreat is personal development and professional development mixed. And the reason being, because if you followed me for long enough, if you've listened to me for long enough, you know that the place that I teach and what I believe is, in order to build to your potential that you have in your business, in your life, in your leadership, and in every area that you can succeed as a woman, you have to look at yourself. It's not just about strategy. It's not just about steps. You have to be willing to expand who you are as a woman to be able to hold the capacity of that external success that you want. It's not one or the other. You can say all day that you want to make a certain amount of money, have a certain amount of clients, but if you don't have the capacity to hold that because you're burnout, because you don't have the space, because you don't have the time, because you're not getting the best results possible, that's something that's very relevant that I just want to speak on for a second, is thinking about what kind of results are you getting? How is your client retention? Because if you're not looking at that, if you're not retaining clients because you're not getting results because you're pouring from an empty cup, that's a whole nother issue in itself. You can retain clients longer, and you can continue to elevate your pricing and the standard of your pricing when you're getting good results. So going back to just creating more peace and some things to leave you with today. Number one is understanding the why peace is the priority. Peace is the priority for you because you want to succeed. And if you want to succeed, you need to be in a position to where you have clarity, you have space, you have innovation, you have ideas, and this is going to come to you in peace. Peace is a feeling that is indescribable. When I found my peace and I realized that peace and contentment can live with my ambition and my drive and my passion. When I realized that these two things were linked and could live together, it was like everything unlocked for me, to where I was like, wow, I can be this powerful, driven, passionate woman with these huge goals, and I can also really enjoy the life that I've built already and where I am right now. And that is the sweet spot. And that is what we're trying to build. So creating more peace is first understanding why peace is the priority. Peace is the priority because if you want long-term success, you have to have peace so that you don't burn out, so that you can pour from an empty cup. Okay. And number two, once you understand the importance of peace, then you're going to start looking at and evaluating how you're spending your time and your energy, and how you're pouring out and how you're pouring in. And that's where the 50-50 comes in. So if you're pouring out and you look at everything that you are doing, this is very easy for us as moms and business owners, because that's pouring out. And so that's why I say things that feel like a luxury or things that feel extravagant, like a retreat, like a vacation, like a night at a hotel, things that are like, that's too much. I want you to think about how much you're actively pouring out. So evaluating how you're spending your time and your energy to make sure that you're keeping yourself in that even place of pouring in as much as you're pouring out. And once you've looked at that evaluation, then you can go into, okay, well, I'm recognizing, as you will, I'm pouring out more than I'm pouring in. And so then thinking about, for you specifically, what is pouring in? What does that look like? What are some different ideas? And what is actually accessible for me, for my life, for the support system that I have? And then what do I need to put in place in order to actually make that happen? Because it's going to require some uncomfortable conversations. And that's one thing that I will never, I won't lie to you, in that this process of becoming who you're meant to be and running a business and building an empire from a place of your true potential is something that's comfortable. It's not comfortable. You have to look at the beliefs that you're holding. You have to look at the fears that you have. And you're likely going to have, once you've evaluated your time and your energy, you're likely going to have some uncomfortable conversations. You're going to have to set some boundaries, but you need to get really clear on, okay, I need to come back up to that 50-50 match of pouring in and pouring out. And what I also need to do is figure out, in order to get my pouring in to a place to where I am actually fulfilled, so that I can lead my movement, so that I can run this business, so that I can run this household, then you need to start thinking some solution focused thinking around, okay, so in order to go to that retreat, what do I need? In order to have that conversation, or in order to have that time for myself, or in order to remove that from my plate, what do I need? Is it a conversation? Is it, to stop micromanaging? Is it, just to ask? I mean, the amount of times that I've had conversations with clients where I'm like, I hear that what you're saying is you have a need or a desire that's not being fulfilled, that is linked with a goal that you have. And it's time for us to put together a way for you to just actively ask for that. So those are kind of the steps that I want you to go through so you can create more peace, because your ambition isn't going anywhere. And trying to stunt your ambition, trying to slow down your ambition, trying to tell yourself that you just need to surrender and sit on your couch for 2 months is not a thing that's going to happen for you. And so instead, what we need to do is figure out, okay, how do we navigate? How do we build in very intentional time and space to make sure that your peace is the priority? So if you have any questions about what we've talked about today, if you're just popping on, I would really encourage you to go back and watch this, because there's a lot of really important information in here. And if you are a business owner and you are recognizing, I do really want to prioritize my peace, I do really want to continue to build my success, but it doesn't feel like that I can do that at the capacity that I want to with how I'm doing it right now, then let's have a conversation. The PowHER Retreat is open. There's a few spots available there for you if you want to come and plug in and be connected with like-minded women and get poured into, and it personally and professionally. I have options for private mentorship where we work together on a very, very deep level, and that's just a life-changing experience. And then I also do VIP days, which is us laying out that strategic roadmap for how you can create what you want to create for your next level. And so there are options for help for you. And part of creating more peace for you is going to be asking for what you need. And even when it's uncomfortable, even when you have a fear of what people may, even when you have that fear of what people may say or think, it is incredibly important for you to build to your potential by being the woman that you need to be for yourself so that you can get where you want to go. Because at the end of the day, the strategy and the steps are beautiful, but how you feel in the process, how you're honoring yourself in the process, that actually dictates the potential that you reach, which is why your success will be stunted. Your growth will be stunted if peace and pouring into you is not the priority. And this is how we build a beautiful, beautiful roadmap in which your contentment, your peace, your joy are riding right alongside, right parallel with your high achiever, ambitious self. So if you are interested in working together, just send me a message. I'm very open. I'd just like to have a conversation, make sure that you are a good fit and that I can actively help you build out the potential that you're meant for. So any questions that you have, send them my way. And I look forward to helping you to create more peace right alongside your success. So in my world, it's, bigger revenue, more profit, more efficiency, but it's also just really, really loving and enjoying the lives that we are living now and enhancing our relationships and our communication and just feeling so at peace in each day. So let's have a conversation, see if it's a good fit. Thank you guys for joining me here today, and I will talk to you soon.